guys, it's Dylan Laine, and today I'm going to be teaching you 5 tips that you can take to start performing. A common question I get asked is, how can I start performing? Some of you are confident in your abilities to perform, yet don't know the best place to begin. Others of you are expressing a strong desire to start performing, yet haven't been able to find a way to get over the nervousness and anxiety that goes along with performing. In this tutorial, I'm going to discuss 5 tips that will help you to get started with performing. I'll cover tips that help both those of you who are fearless and ready to get started with performing, as well as those of you who are still trying to overcome some of those fears before performing. Step 1 is routine practicing. Before considering performing, it's important to have your songs as polished as they can be. The only way to polish a song is through practicing. My personal recommendation is that you practice a song to the point of memorization before ever performing it. Memorizing a song will ensure that you have put as much practice as possible into mastering the details of the song. Mastering those song's details and qualities will give you confidence, in fact, a strong boost of confidence when you go to perform. This confidence will come from the fact that you don't have to look down at your paper for the lyrics or the notes in order to perform your song. Instead, you can stare out into your audience and engage them, and that will get your adrenaline going and you'll be excited and loving it, and a lot of your initial nervousness will most likely fade away. Step 2 is physical preparation. Before you perform, you want to be physically prepared by having your instrument portable and ready to go for the gig. You'll also want to ensure that you have transportation to and from the gig, as well as a specific set list for the actual performance. You'll want the set list to be written out on paper and then either taped to part of your guitar, or if you want, you could even tape it in front of you on the microphone stand, or you could just put it on the ground in front of you when you perform. If you're unsure of what a set list is a list of songs that are rehearsed, practiced, and ready to be performed. Step 3 is mental preparation. Before you perform, you'll want to make sure to set aside some time to relax and make sure that your mind is calm and ready to perform. It is completely fine and normal to be anxious before a gig. However, there are some things that you can try in order to diminish some of the anxiety that you're feeling. The first thing is, don't try to spend any time convincing yourself that you aren't nervous or that you shouldn't be nervous. Instead, accept that you're feeling nervous and then try some techniques in order to help ease the nerves. Trying to convince yourself that you're not nervous or that you shouldn't be nervous will most likely make you more nervous. Second thing is, as cliche as it sounds, try breathing really deep multiple times in a row. For example, try taking 10 deep breaths, 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out. Do this 10 times in a row and see if it makes any difference in your nerves. The third thing is my personal way of easing anxiety, and that is to find a distraction. For me, distraction could be a few things. One thing could be having a friend or a family member to talk to. Another thing could be, if I'm alone, is to have a game on my phone. So a lot of times I'll just find a random sort of mindless game to play, and that way I can focus on the game and just sort of block out the nervous thoughts that I'm having. The fourth thing is to remind yourself that nobody will notice that you mess up unless you make it obvious. Therefore, if you do mess up, have a plan in place ahead of time that you're going to move forward after the mistake as if it never happened. The fifth thing is to remember to be kind and loving to yourself no matter how the performance goes. Moving on to the fourth tip of getting started with performing, and that is attending an open mic. An open mic is one of the quickest and most effective ways to grow in your performance skills. Not only that, but you can do so without even having to invite an audience, because an open mic will typically provide you with a built-in audience, which is the other performers that are there to perform. I would suggest trying out several different mics, no matter how the first one goes, because they can all be very different. The best thing about performing at an open mic is that everybody in the audience is just like you. They're there to practice and to grow. If you perform at an open mic even just 3 times, I can guarantee that your confidence will start to grow, and a lot of the things that you used to be nervous about will start to dissipate because you'll be facing those fears and they'll become less and less scary over time. I can also guarantee that your performance skills will start to grow. You'll start to feel more comfortable in your skin. You might start noticing that you are more comfortable with saying jokes on stage or telling stories about your songs, and that you're less inside your mind just trying to think about, oh, I hope this goes well, I hope they like it, I hope that I don't mess up. And instead, I think that you'll start to feel just engaged in what's happening. Step 5 is venue booking. If you get to a point in your musical journey where you want to go beyond open mics and into something such as a larger venue where you can have a larger audience, you'll definitely want to begin making connections as well as growing a following. If you do not yet have a large following to show for yourself, it may be difficult to get into a larger venue. However, there's a great chance that you would be able to perform at places such as coffee shops or bookstores or smaller types of venues where you don't necessarily need to have an audience come to watch you. Bigger venues will often want to see proof of your following before booking you. And proof could be something like your Facebook fan number or your YouTube subscriber number, or even just evidence of past shows where you had a larger audience come. Now, there is a reason why a venue wants proof of your following before booking you. You see, the venue wants to be sure that if they are giving you their time and their space, that they'll be fairly compensated for doing so. And the way that they're compensated is through things such as ticket sales, merchandise sales, and also beverage and food sales in some venues. So this is why your following is important. Of course, there are always exceptions, and this is where it really helps to have connections or friends that you know within the music industry. I'm sure most of you have heard countless stories about people who maybe didn't have all the right numbers or the specific talent for something, but they knew somebody that knew someone that knew someone that helped them get into a position they wanted to be in. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that this encourages you to go out there and perform no matter what kind of venue, whether it's an open mic or a bookstore, a coffee shop, or a large venue, or opening for someone. No matter what it is, I would just encourage you to get out there and to practice and to build your skills.